Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you on a Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. And as always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo South to discuss the latest and the greatest in the NBA. Combo, you seem a little bit nonplussed at the moment. What's happening, my man?
I had all this content in my head ready for you, Coach Nick, and then all of a sudden I see the thumbnail. Combo was not aware of that thumbnail. You know, I'm very brand aware, Coach Nick, and you just threw this thumbnail at me. I wanted to talk about why people sleep on players like Con Knuppel and Scotty Barnes and Jalen Johnson, and then I see this thumbnail. So, yeah, what do you
so much that they mispronounced Khan's last name even?
Yeah, I know. Con Knuppel. Others have told me. Yes. Con Knuppel.
I told he was supposed to be silent.
I told you at Summer League he'd be Rookie of the Year. I told you that, Coach Nick. I told you.
It's funny. I just, listen, I was a little bit off of the Jaime Jaquez as well. And with Jaquez, I felt the same way. I mean, because I had a few people who were UCLA fans and like, oh, he's going to be great. I'm like, there was not a lot to see at UCLA that would indicate that Jaquez could drive like this, would finish like this, does a little bit of shooting, like the ball handling. We didn't see a lot of that at UCLA. Now, with Knuppel, he did, right? We did see this is the game he played at Duke that he's now playing in Charlotte. Is that safe to say?
Very safe to say. I would also say, I'm not saying you, but I think a lot of people sleep on players that don't hang their hat on ISO scoring, like Scotty Barnes, like Jalen Johnson, like Tyrese Halliburton, like Khan, like Cooper. I think that when some evaluate talent, they're thinking too much from an ISO scoring perspective when there's so much more to basketball.
I hear you. I mean, listen, we could be frank. Although you are on Coach Nick and you are.
By the way, shouts to Jaime. He's been on the show. Good dude. Been on.
We love him. Yeah. So I think that the issue here is, athletic ability, right? It didn't look like he could hang so well with elite athletes on the NBA court. And it turns out when you play at your own pace, you can. And first of all, let's just run through the stats real quick in case people haven't been watching Charlotte. And I don't blame you. Charlotte's not an easy watch these days, but he's averaging a little over 19 points a game. He's playing about 34 minutes, and he's lighting it up from three at about 44% on almost 9 attempts. So he's really just filling it up across the board. Now, certainly with the scouting report, 3-point shooting was not going to be an issue with this guy at all, right?
No, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. So we knew he was going to shoot well from the three. I got to kind of break down the off the dribble threes to see. I suspect he's opened that up a little bit from the college ranks, but he's driving to the basket and he's getting to the hoop with not incredibly quick speed, right? That's what's amazing about this. And I think I had a discussion with the coach yesterday about this, is about driving lines, right? And driving sort of straight lines. And you see like Luka is the king of this, is that you don't need to be a water bug and that quick if you get the slightest of advantages, and then you maintain that line the entire way. And I think that there are players who, in the face of perhaps a little bit of pressure to the side, will begin to bow out a little bit on that driving line, and it lets the defender get a little bit farther and you get a little farther from the basket. But it takes a little bit of skill to be able to hold that position. You're almost leaning in. You do this on the court, I'm sure. To have to lean in and stay balanced, but then also apply that pressure to keep you at that line, and then they're neutralized and can't do much without fouling you.
Yeah, and he's strong enough to do that. And, back in Summer League, I said, you already talked about the shooting. I called him Klay Thompson with a better layup package, and I got some pushback for that. But that seems to be what we're seeing. That seems to be what we're seeing from him.
Yeah. Well, by the way, awesome segue to the main topic.
We got to talk about this. Well, I'm here to talk basketball, Coach Nick, but go ahead, man. Go ahead.
It stems from basketball, because if you haven't seen it, Klay Thompson took on the entire Grizzlies team, it felt like. And here's the problem I have. I should have gotten the clip ready to play, but the point was that Santi Aldama grabs Cooper Flagg's leg in a real Bush League move. You know the move I'm talking about, where he tripped him with his arm as he's running by. He was upset, didn't get a call, whatever that was, right? And they got him on it. They called the foul, called whatever, I think the tech, whatever it was on him. But then Klay Thompson decides to stand up for his teammate. So we're getting into the weeds about after that, and then you got Ja Morant, who I thought was pretty disrespectful and pointing in the whole thing. And we have to fill in some of the background of that. But what we're missing here is that Klay Thompson was standing up as a elder statesman for a teammate in the most valorous way. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And I don't think it should have devolved into this ridiculous conversation that we ended up having, that I think you would agree is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and then Ja goes to Cam Spencer's post-game interview, which was Cam Spencer's moment, and talks about, who's the best shooter in the gym and all that stuff. And then that was unnecessary because Cam was having his own moment. I don't think he wanted to be a part of that. Ja wasn't even playing in that game. It just wasn't needed. It wasn't needed.
Yeah, I hear you. And also Klay he just deserves respect. The guy is a 4-time NBA title champion. He's one of the greatest shooters of all time, one of the greatest perimeter defenders of all time. This guy is just a multiple-time All-Star, Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Like that kind of disrespect I thought was way out of bounds. And I know that there was a thing about, Jaren Jackson Jr. from a few years ago that Klay, called out. But again, it was a response to something that they said about him, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't keep my finger on the pulse of all of these beefs, but I just want to make sure that people understand, a guy like Klay Thompson, who has played the game the right way and has respected the game that, the way you're supposed to, especially with what he did to stand up for a teammate, does not deserve any of the thing that people were trying to light him up for on Twitter. Twitter's become an awful place, and I just feel like, I wanted to make that clear.
What were they lighting him up about? Because I'm not on Twitter as much as I am on Instagram these days.
That he's a bum now, and that's what Ja's trying to call.
Two injuries, and everybody, Father Time is undefeated. On top of that, it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah. And he came back from those injuries, and they won a title, and he was a big part of that, even though he was not himself. But again, the track record is there. And I believe that there should be some limits to. I know trash talking is trash talking, but there should be some limits, and I feel like that's a real problem. Now everyone's saying I'm blurry. Why am I blurry?
Yeah, I just texted you because I didn't want to mess up the conversation because it was so good, but I texted you.
I hear you. Well, I mean, I look great on my end, but
I think when it's uploaded after they locally uploaded, right? Is that fair? Like Riverside?
But there's something wrong with StreamYard, and they can constantly say that it's something wrong with my packaged content, but. My package speed, but I have a gig download and I don't know 100 megs up, so I don't get it. But all right, well, one day we'll figure this all out. Hopefully it gets a little bit better.
Yeah, I just don't like to, I've been watching some Mr. Beast content, and he always talks about. Obviously, I knew this from short form content anyway. You never want a time where a viewer will log off of the conversation. I feel like if we start talking about this. We had such a great conversation, and then that
but I can tell you someone's going to log off looking at me the way I look. So let me, I'm kind of want to do this. Can you talk for 30 seconds?
Wow. Okay. I can.
You do the show for 30 seconds. And I'm going to see if I can.
All right. Well, let me see the comments. Okay. We got some good Okay. I do a super chat. Light up a super chat. We got one.
Yeah. And then I'm going to leave in a minute. I'll come right back, but I'll see if I can get this going. So here's the super chat and I'll be right back.
Okay. Alan Tran. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Here it goes. Golden State Warriors fan here. I feel Klay is a bit insecure ever since he got left off the NBA 75 and his play has declined. But Ja Morant is a disappointment. Yeah, I mean, Klay felt slighted for a long time now. We saw him wear that number 76 jersey when he didn't make that team. So there is some truth to that. Ja is a disappointment because I always looked at him as a generational type player. And it seems like his game and his attitude are trending in the wrong direction. And Memphis might have to trade him eventually, but it'd be interesting to see where Ja Morant will land. In the comment section, let me know some great landing spots for Ja Morant. Klay is a 4-time champion. Multiple-time All-Star, but NBA 75 is tough, man. It's tough to make that, but we appreciate the super chat from you, Alan Tran. Wow, I was pretty good. I mean, I got to work on the monologue, but we got through it. But let me read it to you so we can get your take.
Okay.
Golden State
video wise.
Yeah, you are looking better. Golden State. Shouts to Alan Tran for you, Coach Nick. Golden State Warrior fan here. I feel Klay is a bit insecure ever since he got left off the NBA 75 and his play has declined, but Ja Morant is just a disappointment.
All those things can be true. Absolutely. And I think that, Klay probably does have, it's too bad he got hurt. It happens. And those are major, major injuries. And so his career doesn't end the way it could have, where he would have been, he still would have been a good player. It's not predicated on jumping off out the gym and complete quickness. So he could have morphed into still more effective than he was now. For sure, you could see that it's wearing on him, and I get it. But the fact that he's sticking with it, I think is a testament to him as well. Like that he's not given up, and he's been able to just still sort of be in the conversation. He's not obviously the guy. I thought earlier this year he was going to have to retire. After a couple games, it did not look good. But I think by the end of the season, we'll end up seeing, that he at least merited this season, and just again deserves all of the respect that anybody can give him because of his stature and just he was a guy who respected the game, and he deserves that respect.
So also another thing is that Klay Thompson thought he was going to be part of a championship contender with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and then it's been total nonsense and a disaster in Dallas since then. So that's another tough thing. There is a world where Klay could have helped the team win a championship, in that kind of role. So, it's a tough situation.
Absolutely. And it's a great segue to talking about Dallas and Anthony Davis. And now he's on the trading block and everyone and their mother wants to trade for him. And I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't trade for him. Would you?
For who?
Anthony Davis?
Well, Cat and Brunson can't guard anybody in pick and roll. So, I guess if you want to win a championship, you have a better chance with Anthony Davis.
I guess, but and that means he's going to have to be healthy in there. I'm quickly want to check. The New York Knicks defensive rating in my mind wasn't that bad, that long ago. But of course, now they won't load. I'm still wondering.
Eye test tells me that they can't guard anybody. Those two.
Well, those two, okay. That could be a big part of it. I can't load the stats on the NBA side. What the hell? Anyway, but let's get to our next super chat then from Dave Wu. Wants to talk to you, Combo. He says, Combo, I've seen you in a few fan versus hater debate videos. Are you really a hater, or do you really think SGA's defense is overrated? You're going to show them how the sausage is made, huh?
Wow. I'll let Coach Nick answer if he thinks I'm a hater or not. I don't, that's up to the beholder, whoever's watching the show. I guess I am a hater, and that's what I was doing there. I was hating on SGA. But yes, I think last year SGA's defense was overrated, and SGA always been a great offensive player. I think what took the Thunder over the top was the addition of Caruso and Hardenstein more than SGA improving. But I would say this year SGA has been a better defender than last year. Mm-hmm. But, that was recorded a few months ago, and I said what I said, and I stand on it at that time. With that said, seeing what I'm seeing now, SGA has been a better defender this season.
For sure. And here's what's interesting. I did a video. Please go watch it because not a lot of people did. I'm not really sure why, if it's just OKC content. But I broke down the defense and how it functions. And one of the advantages they're getting is that SGA, who is tall, he's 6'7", and he's long. And so he ends up being in the position where a traditional point guard would be on the weak side, having to rotate over. And so where a small guard would get dunked on or just get pushed out of the way, have no chance, he is actually a deterrent down there and can actually cause problems for people trying to finish near the rim, block a shot every once in a while. So it's another huge advantage for OKC, which is, by the way, another reason why Magic Johnson was underrated defensively as well, because he'd be guarding guards. And a lot of times that means he's coming over from the weak side. And so what a 6'2" person would have normally been over there to try and stop is now 6'9". And, Magic was long and had good instincts. So I think he's helping them immensely on the team defense side that is going underlooked because, defense is just misunderstood by most people out there in the fan stratosphere.
Yeah, it feels like they improved on both sides of the floor this year, the whole team. And then obviously everybody knows they don't even have Jalen Williams playing yet. Man, they're scary for sure. They're scary, but I do think they're beatable. Look, we talked about this last year. SGA doesn't hurt his Achilles. Sorry, not SGA. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't hurt his Achilles. It could be a different outcome.
Oh, I agree on that one as well. Also, and then, by the way, to tap on the question about are you really a hater or not?
Yeah,
I will say this: you are perfect for that show.
Oh, thank you. Why do you say that?
Because those are the kind of debates that you're really good at, and you're able to come up with really good, takes that people might not think about in the approach. So I don't think it's a hater. I think it's evidence-based that you're using, and you're quick with that, right? By the way, I did one. They're releasing it very soon. I got the email, forgotten now. It's soon, maybe Friday or something. And I got to tell you, that was a marathon. And, to be on the other side, though, where everyone's coming at you, much like I had to defend James Harden. So much like James Harden is so exhausted by doing all the heavy usage, and then by the playoffs he was kind of done. That's how I felt by the last couple of questions or last couple of chapters, because it was a nonstop, coming at me from every direction. So, but the point being that when you're up there, I think that's great. I'm really happy that you're able to find that, and they better keep bringing you back on. I'm assuming you'll be back on soon.
Yeah, man. Shouts to House of Highlights. It's always great working with them. I would say that actually we've been both pro Harden. Yours is coming out. Mine has been out. When we were talking about the most unstoppable forces in NBA history, I actually had to debate John Macri, who had Shaq, I had Harden. So I'm sure we had some of the same points, of how great of an engine Harden was.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, he changed the game. He forced them to change multiple rules. That's reserved for a very few different people out there. Wilt, I made that point. I don't know if it hit hard enough, unfortunately, but Wilt. Who else? George Mikan.
I can't wait to see your episode. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited.
We'll see. Everyone seemed to be digging it, but they were mad at me. There were some fury behind some people's eyes out there, and I was like, whoa. But all good fun. Let's get to Cliffside. Best friend of the breakdown, Cliff. Thank you for so much. Great to see you. What are the non-negotiables you must have in order to play in the NBA? I'm asking about everything: physical skills, mentality, etc. What do you think?
Well, most players in the NBA are role players, right? I mean, that's fair. So to be an NBA role player gives you your best chance to play in the NBA. And I think the non-negotiables are, can you guard anybody? Can you guard everybody? Can you shoot? Can you answer those three questions? Can you do it at the NBA level? If you could do those three things, it gives you a way higher chance to play at the NBA level. Now, if you're a star, ISO scoring means a lot usually, and you might not have to do the other things as well. Look at a Trae Young, right? Like, can you guard anybody? Can you guard everybody? No, but he does some things at such an elite level, and that makes him an NBA star. So it depends on what role you're playing, if you're a star or not. But I think those are the three questions you have to ask if you want to play in the NBA. Okay,
so a lot of it's related to defense.
Defense and shooting. I mean, that's really important, as a role player.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like the Tony Allens don't really exist anymore. You're not going to get into the league as a defender who can't really dribble and can't really shoot and doesn't have much of an impact at all offensively. Rudy Gobert are sort of in that discussion as well. And then the bad hands. Like, you're not going to see. And by the way, Rudy's just an anomaly. Like, you don't see many guys who have trouble with hands like that anymore anyway. So those are the things I would look at. I think you can't be intimidated. Right, you have to be able to come in there, and it can't be fake tough guy either. We've seen players try and come in on 10 days, whatever, and they're talking and they're pointing and they're like gesturing and making it look like they're in control of everything. And it's not really sincere. So you got to be able to have that presence that you can hang, and you see it from a lot of players who come in right away. And I'm like, oh, and I respond to that immediately, and I can see they're not intimidated. They're ready to sort of no nonsense. Nothing's going to bother them too much. So that's a big one too. But if you're talking about skills, then and obviously the physical stuff. I mean, the non-negotiables. We would say you have to have certain physical attributes, but then you see guys like Luka, and you got guys like Jokic.
You feel like in the '90s, athletic you need to hit a certain level of athleticism. You need to have a certain baseline to play in the NBA, obviously. But I feel like in the '90s, decision makers value top end athleticism than even more now. It's more about craft and skill and feel for the game and IQ and continuity. In the 90s, it felt like they really went after the athletes.
Interesting. I mean, in the 90s as well was like the defensive mentality was a lot different, where it's like they didn't have to deal with quick decisions like we do now. So that's one of the things you got to have is you able to make a decision within half a second, right, of catching the ball. And back then it was all split, triple threat. Rip through, look. And so because the offense was like that, the defense could try and take advantage and loading up and being much more physical. They had time to be able to beat on you. So my feeling was more of those teams that had the physical advantages and big and strong and fast and quick, they would resort to, rather than try and outskill people, they would try and out physical them. And that goes down to the lower ranks as well, high school as well. So I think now it's really hard to do that, because if you're going to try and use the only way you can probably still do that is with the offensive rebounding, right? If you're just bigger and stronger and you can just keep throwing the ball up and then you get the ball and put it back in, that's always been an issue for the teams that were smaller, right? Or less physically talented. But now, even if you're not as physically talented, you can teach kids who are smaller to like move that ball, nail threes, trade threes for twos, and really be competitive. Where it was much harder back in the day. So at any rate, so I think that's the one thing about the skill that you need to have is the decision making inside of a half a second. You have to be able to do that and make it look right. So you might not make the shot, but if it's a decisive move and then you get it off and it looks the way it's supposed to, and you're not double pumping and throwing it over your shoulder and it looks, oh my God, this guy's not ready for this moment. Those are the ones you can't be having if you want to make it in the NBA.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also think that it depends on who you're playing with. Like if you're playing with a Luka or LeBron, where the whole offense is revolved around them, you could kind of trade in some of that decision making for somebody who's just going to be a lob threat, guard on the other side, rim run. But if you're playing more equal opportunity offense, right, like read and react type offense, like the Warriors or the Heat, then you might need more of that. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Depends on the play.
Yeah, I hear you. But even still, like you're playing alongside Luka, there's going to be moments where you're going to have to create up the dribble because they're going to skip it, and you're not really open for that three, which would be, who are the Kyle Korver's just going to catch it and shoot it. These closeouts are coming faster too, and the defense is more sophisticated. So you're going to have an advantage, but it's not going to be for the shot. And then here we are, the ball's on the ground. You got to be able to do some of that. And I think teams will value that. And if you're not that guy anymore, it's going to be a lot tougher to find success in that role. But by the way, I'm actually going to flip that and say I'm much more excited because role players are allowed to do that a lot more, right? We're seeing them doing ball handling and driving more than we ever used to, which is really an exciting thing because, again, to be that role player that literally never got to do anything but catch the ball and shoot it and would be benched if you dribble the ball more than once or twice, that's got to be tough to be in that environment.
Well, that all started with LeBron, right? Like heliocentric offense.
I mean, we've had that in the past as well. Like Michael was heliocentric.
Well, then even our guy James Harden. I mean, it went all the way towards that with him. Where everybody else, they didn't really have to think too much on offense. I mean, he was doing everything, and they just had to be ready to make a shot or catch a lob.
Sure. I mean, and by the way, so Michael before the triangle was a lot like that too.
Okay,
but it wasn't. It's interesting. He wasn't spraying, skip passes for threes in the corners, right? They didn't value that way.
He was just so phenomenal that he could weave his way. Like you think about the Boston Celtics 63 in the playoffs, there was no space in there, right? But he was still dominant. It was crazy.
Yeah. And he would dominate in the mid range. He would be pulling up from 15, 16, 18, contested, which we now know are the harder shots. So you almost want to give Michael even more credit because he was hitting what has now been proven over all these years to be the toughest shots you can possibly take. A contested three, versus a contested 19-footer, those are, a lot different, especially with the extra point. So it's like he was having to do that because there wasn't enough space. And the assist he would get would be up in the air, and then he'd kick it to the guy near the curve of the top of the key for an 18, 19-footer there. And those guys would have to hit those. Those are always a weird tween shot. So the game itself, and no one wants to go, even though people say, oh, they travel all the time now, or they don't play defense the way they do, whatever the arguments are now. Trust me, you don't want to go back to what it was like in the 80s and the 90s when you have this nostalgia for it. Those games are hard to watch now.
Yeah.
So
we dealt with the 90s.
Yeah. All right, we got 10 minutes left in our show before you got to get out of here. And hopefully everyone's having a terrific Thanksgiving week so far. I got family in too who needs to be hanging out. Let's get to our next super chat, though. We got B Denzel 3. Thank you so much from Canada. Coach, is OK's overload defensive scheme really a bet that most of the league can't make a proper skip pass instead of a bet on 3-point variance? Awesome question. That's one of the best ones we've had in a while. So skip passes are a must-have in every offense at every level, right? And we train that. You got to be able to have them. However, when you go against a guy, a front line that's facing you of hard, so it's not just you're not skipping against one guy who you've beaten a little bit and then you're firing a pass across the court. When that overload that you're referring to ends up meaning there's at least another player, if not two, that are meeting you at that lane line. And if it's Hardenstein and it's SGA or it's Cason Wallace or it's Isaiah Joe or it's Caruso, these guys all have length and are really great hands. So it's really, really hard. So I think it's harder to throw a skip pass against OKC, both for scheme and for personnel. You know what I mean?
Totally agree. Do you feel OKC does something differently schematically than the rest of the league that makes them so elite, or is it more the personnel?
I think it's schematically as well. What I showed in the video was how they overload on wing drives. So if you're on the wing and you start driving the baseline, and then no middle is a big thing that I always believed in. I think it's important because, when you see guys get in the middle, that's when all the shots get sprayed out for open threes. Guys have to rotate even more, fouls. If you pull up and you get hit, and then you can still hit the front of the rim and hit the backboard and roll in when you're shooting it to the front of the basket. When you start getting into the side, in the side areas toward the baseline, that roll doesn't happen off of the backboard. The background is different. Its background's harder to shoot at, right? So there's no question in my mind that no middle is still like the way to go, and they're really preaching that. And then they're luring you, though. Part of it feels like they're letting you kind of get a little bit of advantage toward that baseline, knowing that they're going to load up and dare you to try and make those passes, which is, I think, a good strategy until it doesn't work. Right now, it's working great. The three-point variance he's talking about is that, people just miss, right? And a lot of people in the analytics departments, I believe, will feel like it's not a lot about defense in terms of three-point shooting. It's just about the variance. Like sometimes guys make it, sometimes they miss. And I completely disagree with that. I think there's a lot of ways to limit three-point percentage, and I think there's a lot of ways that the defense affects that. And you know this, right? Physical defense on cuts and moving through, and then you finally get open and you catch it. It doesn't feel so open after having fought for that, right?
That's how I feel when I play a lot of defense, which doesn't happen often. I feel like I don't have as much energy on offense. I feel like, yeah. That's why I was talking about the bandwidth. But this is Braun, by the way. He let us know in the comments. So shouts to Braun. His YouTube name changed for some reason.
Oh, it is? Oh, Braun, Braan. Okay. Well, hey, thanks so much, Braun. Sorry, we didn't recognize. I was thinking this is a new part of the conversation. But either way, how do you know it's Braun?
He said it in the comments.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, the point being that, so I don't think it's, I think that they're, I mean, obviously you can make a bet on 3-point variance and with those kind of defenders. Yeah. And because they have such a deep team, no one's getting that tired, like for the offensive side, right? They have a lot of energy.
Yeah, man. All those, even like guys that aren't known for defense, like Isaiah Joe is playing hard every possession.
He's not. I thought he's kind of known for defense, isn't he?
He was known for shooting when he was a draft prospect. Yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I think about once he got into the league, though, he realized I'm not getting on the floor for this team.
Yeah, that was like, I think that's more of an effort thing than like a natural tools type of thing. I mean, defense is always effort, right? Yeah. But I don't think he's like a Lou Dort where like, he has all the physical capabilities to be a great defender, even like a Chet with his length. He just kind of like just focus on it now.
Well, great segue to the next one. You're on fire today, Combo, because I want to talk about this with, we got 7 minutes. Perfect. Dillon Brooks hops into the Phoenix Suns, replacing KD. They're winning much more than they did with KD. Now, KD played 62 or 63 games, right? So it's not like he had the full season, but it's a lot of games. They completely did not play well. His record while he was playing with the Suns was 51% of the games they won, 52, maybe like that. Right now, they're winning 61% with Brooks. It's a different team. I know Beal is also gone, but here's an interesting thing I've been thinking about. I want to maybe do a video on why Brooks is better for the Suns than KD was. And then does that value of having a Brooks on your team, what I mean by that is there's a list of players like that. Dillon Brooks is in the same category. See if you can figure it out with someone like Lou Dort, like you mentioned, Draymond Green. Who else do we have to plug into that list? There's somebody else I know who's just a real irritant. And so not only is he going to play physical defense, but he's going to take the other team out of their mindset and make them discombobulated. Who are other players like that?
Josh Hart a little bit.
What?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart, yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of talking about like the guys who did.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Well, in the poster child, the absolute best at this is Marcus Smart.
Yes,
I agree. Right, they're doing really well. But listen, Marcus Smart drives me nuts. The way he plays offensively drives me nuts, and that's a big part of it. But the flopping he does, the intentional, and you can argue that what he's trying to do is just get an advantage. And every once in a while, he'll get the call, even though he literally throws himself, grabs people. I hate that stuff. But so there is some value to that. But what the other value is that he gets the other team out of their minds.
Yeah, I like Dillon Brooks a lot. I don't know if he's necessarily better for the Suns than KD was. By the way, it could be good for both sides because the Rockets are legit contenders right now. And on top of that, I think there is some outlying shooting numbers when it comes to the Suns that'll regress to the mean. And I'm not really a believer, even though Devin Booker is one of the best guards in the league. I like Mark Williams. I like Grayson Allen. I like Dillon Brooks. But the West is so loaded. I'm not a real believer in this team when it comes to being like a deep playoff team or anything like that.
Oh yeah, because Jalen Green's coming back at some point.
Yeah, Jalen Green's talented. You know, Jalen Green's talented for sure.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. And obviously they just played, and Houston let them know who is the better team right now. And
Right.
they put a beat down on them. So I don't know. I think that's the next video this week on Friday was going to be something about that, about how Brooks replaces KD is better. But I got to dive into the footage a little bit more. But the thing is, Brooks is playing pretty well. He's doing a bit of a KD impersonation out there. He's isolating. He's like doing quick runners. He's threes off the dribble.
Here's a good segue. Because I was on the Knicks Fan TV post-game show. I think somebody mentioned it. People mentioned this to me like when they see me in person. So what's the worst basketball take you ever heard?
Oh, well, the Klay Thompson stuff. Well, no. Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, let me tell you this one. I'll hold it. I'll tell you what they said to me on the Knicks Fan TV post-game show. They told me that Diawara was the next KD.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean,
he said, yeah, he's 7 foot. All he needs is the handle now. He can shoot a little bit. He's the next kid. We were like, what is going on?
Right. I mean, if you were to tell me at the end of last year that like Jalen Duran was going to be the next whoever he is now, I'm like, are you kidding me? And like, look at that guy. Like, you know,
but that's not a. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying Diawara could become the next KD.
I mean, like, you know, how old is he?
Coach Nick.
What?
He's not the next. He could be a role player in the NBA. He's not the next KD.
All right, fine. But I'm just saying, like, you know, during his hands, he couldn't grab a catch, he couldn't catch balls, whatever. Finishing was a problem, and all of a sudden, the guy is turned into, you know, it's not Durant, but it's like I want to say Anthony Mason, not Anthony Mason. Who was the Knicks lefty down low?
Yeah, Anthony Mason. But Anthony Mason is more of a point forward. But I actually seen Jalen Duran bringing up the ball sometimes.
I know, he's like handling the ball.
Yeah. So I mean, look, he make young. First of all, Jalen Duran is super tough. He makes good decisions. He's a lob threat. He's good finishing around the rim. He's, you know, but it's the Cade effect too. Cade's making everybody better, man.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, something's going on. He's doing it on his own. He's creating off the dribble on his own and winning games. Great. It's like what?
He could be an all-star this year. He could be an all-star.
You have to go. Yeah. All right, we have another one. Some Scoldylocks, one of the best names we have out there for a YouTube channel, YouTube user. Hey, Coach. Do we think this Lakers starting lineup is even viable? I feel like LeBron and Rui are redundant, and we could do more with more defense in that spot, and Rui could juice our weak bench scoring. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I got to think of who would start instead. I guess Smart would start. They go a little smaller. You know, Rui is Rui. I go back and forth with them every time when I think, oh, there's something there. He helps them a lot, and he doesn't. Their three-point shooting is obviously a real big problem. They're going to need to shore up. They can't shoot that poorly and really contend. I think it's going to be a problem deep in the playoffs. But you know, so far so good. It's working pretty well for them. They're, I think, second in the conference right now, 12-4 maybe. And so I think that, you know, they're looking at that. I think the Lakers are looking to make a trade. Have you seen any of that?
No. What kind of trade?
I feel like I saw something where they were talking about, you know,
AD back to the Lakers.
Yeah, that's not what they need.
What do you think they need?
They need shooting. They need a shooter.
You know who could be a big swing player for this whole season?
Who?
Lauri Markkanen.
Now that came up as a terrible take when he took a shot, and we have a minute. When you're down and it's about, you know, under 20 seconds to go in the game, you don't run the clock down for the last shot. You have to get the best shot you can as quickly as you can. Lowry tried doing that on a nice little turnaround from about 17 feet at the free throw line to nail. And it was like in and out, like just about misses, like an inch off. And I had somebody saying, oh, he's not that guy. He's not good enough to be that guy taking that shot. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's an all-star. He's averaging 29 points a game this year. He's a great shooter. It was an open shot. Like that was the worst take I'd seen in the last couple of days.
Oh, there you go. You found your word.
You know, if you wind the clock down, you can't assume that you're going to score. And in fact, you have to assume you're not going to score, because in those situations, the success rate is really low. And, you know, and if you do score, you're like, oh, I don't want to give the other team a chance to win the game. Well, now they're subject to that same or even worse odds, because there's less time on the clock for them to score. And you need another possession in case you miss to get the ball, foul, get the ball back, and maybe get a three. So it's just the right strategy that you're supposed to understand and have. And I think that there's some old school thing that was not considered for a long time, where you said, oh, I'm down by one, I'm just going to run the clock down and take the last shot. It's just not right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty bad take, but Diawara being the next KD. Shouts to Diawara. I think he's going to be like a role player in the NBA. That's the worst take.
All right. We got one more super chat. Can we finish this real quick? From Jader.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jader. Coach Combo, why do you think franchises who just lose, such as Sac and Washington, get wrong with drafting, player development, and a winning culture? Wow. It's a great question. They're always losing. They seem to always have the same problem. Now, remember, Sacramento didn't. They had a stretch there where they were really good and they were making great decisions.
They traded Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah,
that was bad. I said it at the time. I mean, I think just that life is about decisions. Not to get too philosophical, but just some decision makers make incremental decisions over the course of time better than other teams. And I think the name chasing, star chasing era is over in the NBA, and it's all about how you could build up these teams from the ground up. And obviously, OKC Thunder is the poster child for that, and Sam Presti is the greatest to do it right now at the current moment. So, and obviously, these two franchises are the opposite of that.
I would say when franchises really try and cut corners and don't want to spend any money, and they're keeping everything really, really tight, that used to be a big problem. Then the hiring you're gonna make in the front office and whatever is also going to be suboptimal. The Kings built a brand new stadium, not that long ago, and although I'm sure it was financed by public money as well. So there's all this notion of I don't know if that really fits in terms of the Kings, trying to because they have Vivek, who's a very wealthy owner. But it has to start from the top. It starts from the ownership and then down in terms of who they're bringing in to run the organization. And, after enough consistently bad decisions. Now, they brought in Sabonis. That was not the worst trade for Halliburton. If I'm not mistaken, that was the trade, right?
I mean, I like Sabonis, but to me, Halliburton was going to be an all-NBA MVP level. I was saying it back then, so it's not just something I'm saying now. And on top of that, Sabonis is a good player, but he doesn't protect the rim and he doesn't make threes.
Yeah, and then, by the way, he's on the block as well. They're going to trade him. Looks like as well.
Yeah. He's a really good basketball player, definitely. But just like
good team in the Sacramento, they were building something too. So they wasn't that long ago where Mike Brown was there. They're running great offense. It was like it looked like there was another resurgence, and they just But again, it goes to that question: like, what is it? There's something going on there, and there's decisions being made. I would say it goes all the way from the front office into the coaching decisions as well. They're consistently making them, and then the one
draft
is going to be the owner.
They didn't draft Luka. I mean, there's a lot of decisions.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I know you got to get out of here, Combo. So thanks so much for being part of the show as always today. And thanks everybody out there for all the super chats. Wonderful, great discussion. And one day we'll figure out the multiple streams that we're casting at the same time. And then why am I thinking I'm a lot better looking right now. I'm not all pixelated.
You're less blurry, Coach Nick. You're less blurry.
Pixelated. All right. Well, I'll check it out. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown. We're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Yes, sir.